John Maynard Keynes was an economist from Cambridge, Great Britain. He was born on the 5th of June 1883 and lived a wealthy childhood with his father, who was an economist, and his mother, who was a local social reformer. He went to King's College in Cambridge, where he studied mathematics. He did not do that for long, though. He joined the civil service and worked at the India office for 2 years. He returned to King's College and spent almost 6 years studying economics and mathematics. He died the 21st of April 1946, and today he has an economical philosophy called the Keynesian economics based on his ideas. Keynes is mostly famous for two of his theories, the Phillips curve and the ISLM model. The Phillips curve describes the relationship between employment and inflation within a country. It suggests that an increasing aggregate demand controls both inflation and growth rate. If the aggregate demand increases for a while, the country will experience a time of growth with barely no inflation. If the aggregate demand keeps increasing, the country will get both inflation and economical growth at a higher rate. In theory, a country would, with a constant increasing aggregate demand, eventually reach a state of full employment. This is the part of the aggregate supply curve which only goes straight up. Here only population growth and new technology can give economic growth, since the productivity is already maxed. If a natural disaster would occur, the aggregate supply curve would decrease, thus pushing the red curve up. The ISLM model describes the relationship between interest rates and economical growth within a country. If people start to loan less, for example, the IS will decrease, and thus creating a new equilibrium. The new equilibrium shows that the interest rates were lowered and that the country did not get economical growth. If the IS would increase by more savings, for example, the GDP would increase as well as the interest rates. If the LM decreases, the country will not have economical growth and the interest rates will be increased. If LM increases, the interest rates will be decreased and the country will get economical growth. These theories are presented in Keynes' book, The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. After World War I, Germany was loaded with a huge debt for being the cause of the war, according to the Triple Entente. Keynes became famous when he was one of a few to oppose this payment. He argued that the debt was too big and that would result in a politically and economically unstable Germany, which appeared to be true. Even though he did not affect the politician's decision, he taught the world that an unrealistically huge amount of debt is not smart, since it might be the start of horrible events, such as World War II. In the 1930s, the Great Depression started, and this made Keynes think in a new way of the economy. The high unemployment rate made Keynes question theories that stated a free market will always supply employment for everybody, and all unemployment is voluntary, for example. He also proved the back then obvious thing that demand always exceeds supply to be wrong.